Hello, friends. My name's Jacob. Whether you've been here forever or you're new, thank you for joining me today to talk about this year's Golden Globes. The nominations are dropping in just a few days, and I've been agonizing over my predictions for the film nominees for the last week or so, and I keep changing my mind. I changed my mind like 10 times in the 2 hours leading up to recording this, so it's a tough one to predict, and we don't really know what's going to happen because so much has changed about the Globes makeup this year. They're not branded as the HFPA anymore. They've got hundreds of new members, I think, from what I've heard, and so we don't really know, is it going to be the populist Globes of old, or are they going to be a bit more critically, a little more pretentious and artsy? We really don't know. So I've kind of tried to go for a mixture of both, and mostly played it safe with a couple risky picks here and there. But whatever I do end up putting in my six, there's a lot of variables and a lot of things I think could happen. So I hope that you get some helpful advice out of this video for your own predictions, whether you agree with my direct picks or not, because I think there's a lot of ways that these ones could go. And 6 is right. This year, for the first time ever, the Golden Globes are having 6 slots for every single category. So whether that makes them more or less helpful for predicting the Oscars, I really don't know. And with the different makeup, it is hard to say. They might end up being a lot more like the Critics' Choice, where they don't quite matter as much. So what I'm really looking out for with these is not so much what does get in, but what doesn't get in. So if something big misses here, it may be the spelling the beginning of the end for it in terms of the Oscars. But without further ado, let's get into it. Just the film categories today. I don't know anywhere near enough about TV to throw my hat in that ring. I'll leave that to the experts. So starting out with Best Picture Drama, I've got Oppenheimer at number 1, Killers of the Flower Moon. Those two are locks. Nothing's going to change there. Maestro, I'm pretty confident in. I have since seen the film, since I last made a video on awards predictions. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I think it has a lot of great individual elements, but I can see why it is an awards player, and I don't really see any reason that it won't get in here. As for Past Lives, we're all a bit worried about it for the Oscars, but it's doing quite well so far in the early critic precursors and things like the Gothams and the Indie Spirits. So I'm absolutely not counting out Past Lives just yet, and I'll be shocked if it doesn't make it in here. 5 and 6 are probably the more vulnerable spots. I do still feel pretty confident about Anatomy of a Fall getting in here. I think it's a very strong shot to win international feature here, and with drama and comedy split, I really don't see it getting snubbed in the major categories that it needs to get. Maybe I'm a little worried about it for the Oscars, but that's a bridge we will cross later on. And if it does miss any of these big categories here, maybe it's something we can look at as a tea leaf to read for the future. And the 6th spot is the real tricky one, and I've changed my mind on it over and over again. There are 4 films, I think, maybe 5, that I think are competing for this spot, and you could present a valid case for choosing. I've gone with Saltburn, but again, I've changed my mind 10 times on this. So let's see all the picks here. The other ones I think are in that could absolutely get in are All of Us Strangers, The Iron Claw, and The Zone of Interest. Maybe Napoleon. But the reason I've gone with Saltburn is that I do think it's more of a crowd pleaser than a critic film. Critics might see through how shallow some of the class commentary is. I don't think that's that important. I think it's just a fun film, but everyone I've taken to see it who is more of a casual film fan has really, really enjoyed it. It did very well at the Hollywood Critics Awards, or whatever they're calling themselves now, the Astros or something. Not that they're a super big thing to read into, but I think if the Globes are going for a more popular flavor this year, like adding the box office popularity category, then Saltburn could be the one that sneaks in. Again, I'm not confident in this, but of those 4, that's the one I'm landing on, combined with, I think, its potential to get a Best Actor nomination for Barry Keoghan. Forgot to mention another point in favor of Saltburn is that the Globes really went for Babylon last year more than any other body. Not that I think the films are similar, but in many ways it is this year's Babylon, in that it's an ambitious, debaucherous, bodacious effort from a acclaimed director who's won awards before that critics just did not really care for. But the Globes really went for Babylon, so they could go for Saltburn. That's the one other thing I'm arguing for it. The case for All of Us Strangers is just that it makes sense. It's probably the one that makes the most sense for me. Andrew Scott could absolutely get a nomination. I still think it's on the cards to maybe get a screenplay nomination at the Oscars, but critics aren't going for it. And from what I read, the Globes are going to be more critic heavy in terms of its makeup from here on out. So I just don't know if people care enough about the movie for it to get in. The Iron Claw, I really, really want to go for. It made the top 10 at the National Board of Review. They usually only get 6 out of 10 of the Oscar Best Picture lineup, but with the category split, if it could get in anywhere, it could get in here. My main thing is, have enough people seen it yet? And also, is it going to be is it going to have wide appeal, or is it more just appealing to the select people that it's screened so far? I'm seeing maybe a lot of wrestling fans are really going to love it, but is going to translate to that wider, more prestige audience. I absolutely think it could happen, though. In the zone of interest, I'm not counting it out for the Oscars at all, but critics haven't gone for it at all, which is really weird because it is probably the best reviewed film of the year. So I really don't see it getting much of anything here outside of international. Napoleon, maybe the Globes do like Ridley Scott. It'd be pretty funny if they threw it into comedy after the whole Martian thing. And then Ferrari, Rustin, Priscilla, I don't really buy it, but they're all films that could have acting nominations on the cards. So I'm sort of keeping them around the mark. And who knows, maybe they'll reach and grab something else. But that's where it lies for me at the moment. Best Drama Actress, I've pretty much gone with what most people's consensus 6 is here. Lily Gladstone, I'm feeling a Lily Gladstone sweep coming on. I think she may end up winning everything this year. I would much rather give it to Emma Stone, but she is really great in the movie, and she is someone who deserves this recognition. But I'm feeling a sweep coming on, so I think she's probably going to win this one pretty easily. Carey Mulligan, absolutely get in there. She is by far the best part of Maestro, in my opinion. I thought she was absolutely marvelous in it. One of the best performances of the year, in my opinion. Greta Lee feels pretty safe for this one too. I don't know if she quite will squeeze into the Oscar 5, but here she should get in. Sandra Hüller, I'm getting a bit nervous about for the Oscars, but I think she'll get in here. Annette Bening, I'm also pretty confident about. I don't think Nyad's going to get much, but it just feels like a box that you're going to check. And also, I just don't think there are a lot of options outside of these ones. Kaylee Spaney, I'm less confident about. I was really close to putting in Jessica Chastain for Memory, who's my number 7 here, because the Globes really, really like her. They'll nominate her for a lot of stuff that no one else does, things like Miss Sloane. She's gotten TV nominations and wins there, I believe. But I don't know if Memory's been seen by enough people yet, and they also didn't nominate her last year for The Good Nurse, so maybe her luck is just slightly running out. And The Good Nurse was more of a across-the-board player than Memory is. She's really great. It would be deserving, but I think that would have been me just falling back on biases because I've seen and really liked the film. I don't think Priscilla's going to be a big player this award season, but honestly, I think Spaney's probably the best option. From everything I've heard, she's really, really great in the film. Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor, a lot of people are predicting as well for Origin. I wouldn't rule that out. Teyana Taylor for 1001, again, our indie big grassroots pick. I haven't seen the film yet, but I hear she's incredible in it. They went for Jeremy Pope in The Inspection last year, so they're not afraid to reach out and grab people from these indie films. So anyone from that 9, I really wouldn't be shocked by it. And then Helen Mirren for Golda, I've got in there. That would be like a real old school Globesy thing to do, but I don't know if the new school Globes are gonna do that one. Best Drama Actor. Cillian Murphy and Bradley Cooper, I think, are going to be duking it out for that win all year. I think Cooper may end up winning the Oscar, but I think Murphy could win this one here. DiCaprio, he just missed the Hollywood Critics Awards, which was really, really weird, but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater on that one yet. Colman Domingo, it's starting to look like he's not going to get that Oscar nomination just because the category is getting crowded and no one cares about Rustin, but with a weaker field, I'll be shocked if he doesn't get in here. 5 and 6 are the fluid and difficult to decide spots. I literally changed this 5 minutes before I started recording this video. I had Andrew Scott in there this whole time, but I've switched to one Barry Keoghan for Saltburn, who that's just sort of going along with my Saltburn prediction. If I'd had Strangers in picture, I would absolutely have Andrew Scott in here. Or if I had the Iron Claw, I'd definitely have Zac Efron, which I do. But that's more of a gut thing. Every year, I have a real gut feeling about something with the Globes, and I usually get it right. like it started with like Jonah Hill in War Dogs in the mid 2010s or something. But this year I'm going Zac Efron for the Iron Claw. I just have a gut feeling everyone who's seen the film really, really loves it and loves him specifically. He's in an ensemble with a lot of great young actors, and he is getting singled out. People are saying he needs to win an Oscar for it. He won't, but he could absolutely get in here. I've just got a feeling, and I think it would be a cool thing to do and a Globes thing to do if they still do have their penchant for big names. I don't quite have the film in picture, but that could also happen. And then Kyogen, obviously, they nominated him last year for Banshees. He's in their club. And if I expect them to like Saltburn more than every other body, then it would make sense that Kyogen goes along with them because they nominated Babylon for quite a few acting awards last year too. Andrew Scott's right on the cusp. Most people do have him in the 5. I had him in the 5 until right before I recorded this video, so he's as valid a pick as Kyogen and Efron. I just don't think maybe he has the star power. He has been Globe nominated before for TV, but if I'm predicting that they're not going to care about the movie, then they might not care about Andrew Scott too. Joaquin Phoenix for Napoleon. Some people buy it more than I do. I don't really buy it. Adam Driver for Ferrari, pretty similar position to Phoenix for Napoleon. Beloved actors, films that aren't super well liked, and performances that are maybe a little bit odd. Teo Yu for Past Lives. He got nominated for the Astros, I think. I don't really see it, but maybe. And then I've just got Franz Rogowski for Passages in there because he won the New York Film Critics Award. He's getting in at all of like the independent bodies. I think it's going to be one who the critics go nuts for and none of the big bodies go for him. But hey, if he gets in at the Globes here, could start a movement. Who knows? On to the comedies. This is a genre I love, and probably the lineup that more piques my interest this year in terms of films I really like. It's a bummer that we're probably not going to see many straight-up comedies nominated besides Barbie and American Fiction, but it is what it is every single year. The category for the dramedies and the drama musicals. Barbie, I've got number 1 here. I'm losing a little bit of confidence in Poor Things as that number 1 Best Picture frontrunner, and I think what the Globes do with it in a few categories is really going to determine how entrenched in that Best Picture top 5 it really is. The Holdovers absolutely will get in there. American Fiction just keeps on building steam, and that is 100% going to be in there. Color Purple, I'm pretty confident in. It's missed a couple of things. I think it missed AFI and Hollywood Critics Awards, which is people really would have expected it to get those, but I still think it'll get in here. And then May December, I've got in that 6th spot, duking it out probably with Air, which I still really don't know what to do with Air. It is a big crowd pleaser, and I absolutely could see it getting in if May December is a bit too abrasive for them, and it's also not really a comedy. But it's really popping off right now. May December's having a moment. It's winning a lot of critics awards. It's just come out on Netflix in America, so I'm going to back that slightly over Air. Wonka's getting really, really good notices. As I've been saying all year, I've been saying to people, Wonka's going to be good. No one believed me. Now people are saying it's really good. I don't think it quite makes it. Bottoms would be a perfect nomination here because it is one of the best flat-out comedies of the year. And I wouldn't rule it out. It's probably the most likely comedy over stuff like Dream Scenario and No Hard Feelings, but I don't think it'll go all the way in the end. And then, Oh You There, Got It To Me, Margaret, I've got at the end because I know that's a really beloved film for a lot of people this year. Best comedy or musical actress. Here's where maybe we could get a couple of actual straight-up comedy performances nominated. Emma Stone should probably win this. If she doesn't, I'm giving up on her for the Oscar. Margot Robbie, 100% will get in there. Fantasia Barrino, 100% will get in there. Natalie Portman, very, very confident in. And the other 2 spots, Jennifer Lawrence, most people agree that she'll get in. I don't think there's room for the film in picture, but when you take out all the picture films that have predominantly male leads, then I think she gets bumped up. And she is really, really great in the film. It's such a great comedic performance from an actress who hasn't really been known for comedy before. So I think if they don't reward this, I'm going to be really pissed off. But I'm pretty sure they will. And then the 6th spot, there's a few people you could throw in. I'm going the safe pick. I'm going Julia Louis-Dreyfus for You Hurt My Feelings. It's not a film that made a big splash, but it's a film that goes down very easily. I saw it in the theater. I really liked it. She's really great in it. It would be kind of a boring nomination, but it would not be undeserved. And there's just no one below her that I buy it more than that. Abby Ryder Fortson for Are You There, God could go along if it somehow snuck in for picture. Ayo Edebiri for Bottoms, again, would be super cool, but they might only have room for one pure comedic performance this year in Jennifer Lawrence. Halle Bailey for The Little Mermaid. I don't think people care for the film enough. Eve Hewson, Flora and Son. I just think the film is too small. John Carney's films never really get nominated for awards. I think she's wonderful in it and would probably make my list if I was doing this category, but is what it is. And Rachel Senow for Bottoms, same argument as Ayo Edebiri. Comedy or musical actor, I think we're going to be looking at Paul Giamatti and Jeffrey Wright duking it out for the win there, and it's looking like they're both going to land Oscar nominations too. From there, it's a bit more of a crapshoot, and I think this is probably maybe the thinnest acting category here. I think there's a clear 7, and beyond that, I really don't see much else happening. Matt Damon for Air should definitely get in. Chalamet for Wonka, I'm hearing he's outstanding in it, so he should get in. Nick Cage for Dream Scenario, I'm a little less confident about, but I still think he'll get in. And if he doesn't, I will be very annoyed because he's in my Best Actor 5 overall this year, not just comedy. I think he's wonderful in it. And then the 6th spot is sort of everyone's choosing between Jamie Foxx for The Burial and Gal Garcia Bernal for Cassandra. I'm going with The Burial, but that may be a little biased because I've seen it and I haven't seen Cassandra. But having seen it, Jamie Foxx is excellent in it. He's commanding, he's funny, he's lovable in it. I know some recent allegations have come out about him, but no one seems to care. He's still making public appearances, so I don't think that is going to blockade him from it. It would just be people not having seen or caring about the film. And it's pretty easily available on Prime for people to watch. Cassandra, I hear Bernal is really, really strong in it, but the film doesn't quite match his level. But it's really a 51-49 there. I'm going with Fox because he's a bigger name and it's a big performance from I haven't seen Cassandra. Maybe Bernal's going really big in it too. But I think you'd be pretty safe picking 6 of those top 7. Fassbender for Next Goal wins. No one really cares about that movie. Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid. Now, again, he's in my personal actor 5. I think he's incredible in it. Way better than in Napoleon, but that movie's not getting shit. And then Paul Dano for Dumb Money is in there just as another potential wild card. Supporting actress, I've been really tearing my hair out over this one. I'm confident in the top 4. And I really don't know what to do after that. I've got Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers and Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, who I think will be duking out for the win. Emily Blunt pretty easily nestled in there in the 3rd spot. Then Jodie Foster for Nyad. Whether she gets the Oscar nom at the end of the day, I don't know. But out of that sort of mishmash of a group of next 8 people, I have the most confidence in her because the Globes really, really do love her. I know it's a different makeup, but she fucking won this award for The Mauritanian. And that movie really didn't do much else outside of the Globes. So I really think they love her. She's a name. Everyone's happy she's back. And she is genuinely the best part of Nyad. I hate Nyad. I think it's a terrible film. But she's the one thing that sort of rises above it and would actually deserve that nomination. And then let's open up the board. Honestly, anyone from 5 to 10 here, I think could get in. I could make a case for all of them. I just took Taraji P. Henson out right before this. I had America Ferrera in there at one point. So let's go through them. Julianne Moore, I've got in. A lot of people have gone cold on her. I think she's really great and would be so deserving. And it's hard to predict who's getting in for May, December. I think the critics did her and Melton, but not Portman. Some people are doing Melton and Portman, but not Moore. There's really no rhyme or reason to it, so it's really impossible to predict. But I'm going to go with her because I think May, December is currently riding pretty high. And then the 6th spot, I've got Penelope Cruz for Ferrari, just based on what I've been told. I have no skin in the game on this. I haven't seen the film. She is a big name, and I know a few people who've seen it that say she is by far the standout, and she is really, really great in it. So I'm going to throw her in at the expense of Taraji P. Henson, who honestly could still get the Oscar nom back in the day, but Color Purple seems a little wobbly at the moment, and if I'm getting nervous about these double nominations at the Globes. They do happen, but they only really happen when they really love the film. And I don't know how high they are going to be on it overall. It could happen. but I'm taking her out for now. I'm sort of playing the odds and going for a little bit of variety in there because I feel like I kind of have to put Cruz based on what everyone else is doing, and then more I just have personal confidence in. America Ferrera could absolutely happen. Do the Globes want to go? Every year the Globes will sort of go and over-nominate something, and I just have a feeling that could be Barbie. So Ferrera could be the one that goes in there. Rosamund Pike for Saltburn is one I've seen some people throw in, and I admire their confidence because I really want to do it too, because the Globes love Rosamund Pike. It's similar to my argument for Chastain for Memory, but I have a bit more confidence in Pike because I think they're going to go for Saltburn on the whole. I just think there may not quite be a spot for her in the category. But they nominated her for A Private War. I think she won for I Care a Lot, so the Globes do love Pike. I would nominate her. I think it would be awesome, but I just... it could happen, very much so. Viola Davis for Air, if they go for Air, maybe she could go along with it if someone like Moore or Cruz falls out. And Erica Alexander for American Fiction. Some people are actually predicting she just got nominated for the Indie Spirits. She is very good in it, and if they really want to go gung-ho for American Fiction, they could do her and Sterling K. Brown in supporting actor. So honestly, actually, yeah, really, no one here. I'd probably rule out Kirby maybe, but this is going to be a fun category. I really don't think I'm going to get 6 out of 6 right here, but I'm sort of playing as safe as I can while throwing maybe one outlier in there. Supporting actor, I've had the same 6 for like 3 months. Is it really gonna be that 6? I don't think it is. So I've taken out Willem Dafoe. Hear me out. Ryan Gosling and Robert Downey Jr. I think are the 2 locks, and they seem to be the 2 who are doing the best with critics at the moment, along with Charles Melton, who's rocketed up from maybe he just misses the nomination to borderline being in win contention. I think he'll definitely get in here. Mark Ruffalo, still pretty confident in. It's De Niro and Defoe who are the ones that I'm starting to get a little nervous about. De Niro missed the Astra Awards along with DiCaprio, so that might just be a weird nothing thing, but he didn't get in for The Irishman, so people do like snubbing De Niro. It's not a super showy performance as much as the other ones in this category. I think he's incredible in it. He's my favorite performance in that movie. I'm keeping him in for now, but I'm also a little nervous, and I'm throwing in Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. I'm starting to just get a little sneaky feeling that either him or Erica Alexander might sneak in at the end of the day, because everybody's loving American Fiction. Could be this year's sort of coda crowd pleaser sort of movie. I don't know. I keep changing this. Honestly, it could be Dafoe. It could just be Dafoe, but I'm getting nervous about these double nominations, and I'm getting specifically nervous about Poor Things because it's not doing so great with critic awards, and I don't think it's the juggernaut that I said it was a month ago. So anyone in this 10, I really feel like could get in. I nearly put Dominic Sessa, and I think a lot more people have Sessa than Sterling K. Brown, but I'm going Sterling because he's a name. He's won Globes before. And I don't know how likely they are to go for kids. I think they go for teenagers less than maybe the Oscars do. Sessa's great. I would love for him to get in. Coleman Domingo for The Color Purple is an absolute possibility. I'm hearing when the first reactions for the film came out, I didn't see much said about him, but apparently he actually is in it a lot. And I think at the end of the day, if he misses that Oscar nomination for Rust, then he could get it for here, but they could also just go double Domingo if they're in the mood. And then Glenn Howerton is the one I'm not quite giving up on, because he's gotten in like everywhere so far in terms of critics groups and the Indie Spirits and the Gothams. He got in at the Hollywood Astras, but they snubbed both Poor Things guys, so I don't really know what that means. At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to happen, but he's already outperformed my expectations for him, and he's one of my 5 favorite supporting actors of the year. So just bravo to Glenn Howerton for even getting this far. And if his name somehow gets called on Globes nominations morning, I'll be screaming, believe me. But Sterling K. Brown for now, but it could be Defoe, it could be Sessa. I really don't know. Go with your gut on this one. Jeremy Allen White for The Iron Claw. If he's going to be a surprise wildcard nomination somewhere, I think it would be the Oscars rather than here, but I'm throwing him in there anyway. And then Paul Mescal, All of Us Strangers, just rounding it out. Best Director, I won't spend too much time on. I've got a pretty clear 6 here that I'm not really deviating from. Nolan, Scorsese, Greta Gerwig, Yorgos Lanthimos, Alexander Payne, and Bradley Cooper. Yeah, I really feel confident about all of these ones. I don't even have anything to say. I just think they're the most logical picks. I think Glazer could still get in at the Oscars for The Zone of Interest, but I don't think that's happening at all here. I have Cooper in over the other two female directors, Celine Song and Justine Triet, just because I think he's a big name. Maestro's doing a lot of flashy directing things, and even if you don't love the movie, I think I could still see you being compelled by wanting to see him get a director nomination. Celine Song would be the next in line. I think she could easily happen. Past Lives is maybe not as dead in some categories as we thought it was. I noticed a lot of people have Justine Triet in. I don't really buy it, but it would be really cool if it happens. Todd Haynes, just because of this moment May December's having, and it's more flashily directed than some of the other films in these Best Picture lineups. And then Cord Jefferson for American Fiction I've got rounding out the list. Best screenplay, again, is a pretty clear-cut 6 for me. I think Barbie and Poor Things might be duking it out for the win. And at the end of the day, Poor Things may end up being like that lone adapted screenplay winner, which would kind of suck, but also I really wanted to win that award. Oppenheimer and American Fiction will provide healthy competition. I absolutely wouldn't count out American Fiction of winning this award. Holdovers will 100% get in. The only one here that's maybe not a lock is Killers of the Flower Moon. A lot of people have Anatomy of a Fall in, but I'm just a bit more nervous about that film than some people at the moment. And I think Killers of the Flower Moon is a really like top level contender in adapted screenplay, so I'll be surprised if it misses here. Anatomy of a Fall very much next in line. May December won screenplay at the New York Film Critics, so that's absolutely an option. Past Lives, absolutely an option, just like it should make original at the Oscars, but when the categories are combined, I don't think it quite will make the cut. Air, Maestro, All of Us Strangers rounding things out. Animated features are a really, really tricky one to predict. I made a couple switches to it just before, but I feel like there's a science to the way I've done it here. Spider-Man and Boy and the Heron, I think, are the locks here, and they're just going to be the locks everywhere. Elemental, I'm pretty confident in. I finally saw the film. I didn't like it very much, but people like it, so it'll probably get in because it's Pixar, and I have more confidence in it than Wish at this point when it comes to Disney. Super Mario Bros, I'm pretty confident it'll get in here. The way Globes sort of do animation is they'll sort of have a mixture of popular stuff, and then they're not afraid to go with one or two foreign ones. They'll often go with like a Japanese anime film. But then they'll also go with a very populist film that the Oscars don't go for. And I think Mario fits in that spot here as a box office hit. And I think they're not going to be able to resist that one. And then it's sort of between Ninja Turtles and Chicken Run for that 5th spot for me. I've just heard more buzz around Ninja Turtles. Most people seem to have Chicken Run over it. Like, there's not a lot of confidence around Ninja Turtles, but it's more just a gut feeling I have that I think it's going to do better than people think. I still have it in my Oscar 5. And the Nimona is building steam, I think. It's getting some minor nominations here and there, and I think it could be their foreign adjacent pick. It's not foreign, but it's a film by a smaller studio, and it's a very progressive animated film. And I initially had The Peasants at that 6th spot, but I feel I do have a bit more confidence in Nimona at this point. Chicken Run could happen. The Peasants could happen. Wish could happen if they really just want to suckle at the teat of Disney. And Suzume, I wouldn't count out. It's exactly the type of film the Globes would nominate. There's just other ones I have more faith in. And then Leo's in there as my other Mario-ish populist pick because people and families seem to be enjoying it on Netflix. I also generally feel that the Globes have better animated lineups than the Oscars in the end, so I think they might be cool enough to pick something like Nimona, which I think is one of the best animated films of the year, where the Oscars might not quite go there. International feature, I've played it really safe with this list. I don't think I'm going to get it right, but I also don't really know what else to do. And I would say the top 9 here I feel pretty good about. Anatomy of a Fall, I think, will win this pretty easily. The Taste of Things should get in there, another French crowd pleaser. The Zone of Interest, despite my lack of faith in it in other categories, I'll be really surprised if it doesn't at least make the international lineup. Society of the Snow, I think it hits Netflix in a few weeks, but most of the relevant people have probably seen it, and it sounds like a real thrilling movie. Perfect Days, maybe it's a personal pick because it's my 3rd favorite film of the year, but I'll be surprised if it doesn't get in here and at the Oscars, especially the Oscars where there's less competition from things like Anatomy of a Fall that weren't submitted. Boy and the Heron I'm throwing in there because I think I've got it in for score as well, so I'm kind of predicting a little package for it here. Maybe that's ambitious of me. but it's coming out sort of at the right time. And I don't know. I can't explain it. That's just my gut feeling, and that's what I'm going with. The Promised Land, a lot of people are predicting. It just kind of looks like a bit of a dour epic. Maybe the star power of Mads Mikkelsen will propel it to a nomination, but I'm just not really seeing people talk about it. The Teacher's Lounge is one that absolutely I think could still get the Oscar nomination. Could get in here too. Fallen Leaves could get in. I don't think Korosmaki's really been nominated anywhere much before, but it is one of the more acclaimed international films of the year. The Peasants, I don't really buy, especially now that I don't think it's getting an animated. Totem, there's a lot of other things I could put, but I think it's that top 9 that I really think is going to make up. You could probably take out Boy and the Heron and Perfect Days for the film Promised Land and Teacher's Lounge if you want to go with a more artful lineup, I guess. I don't know if artful is the right word, but I've gone very populist with it just for this category because I don't really know where this race lies yet. Original score, I've played it pretty safe. I've got basically my Oscar 5 in The Boy and the Heron. Oppenheimer, that's probably going to win. Killers, Spider-Man, Poor Things, Elemental. Those 5, I think, are pretty safe here, honestly. Sometimes they'll do weird things for score, generally good things. Sometimes they'll give it to the most deserving movie, fucking Babylon, Justin Hurwitz. No, I haven't forgotten about that. So if they're really cool, they'll give this award to Poor Things, but I think it'll be Oppenheimer. The Boy and the Heron, I've got in my 6th spot. I think it's probably between that and Past Lives, but if I'm backing it for international, I feel like I have to back it for score as well. Society of the Snow is another international contender that could sneak into score. Past Lives could get in. The Zone of Interest apparently has a great score that's very minimally used, so maybe the more discerning Oscars could go for it in the end, but I don't think here is where the campaign starts for it. American Fiction, again, if it's something they decide they really want to over-nominate, go both supporting actors, and this could be something that could come along with it too. Saltburn, if I think they like Saltburn, I can't count out the score completely because it is a really good one, and then The Killer rounding out that lineup there. Best Original Song, I'm going very, very populist, as the Globes often do. They like to get the stars there. I don't think this is going to be the Oscar lineup, but I'm going with all 3 Barbie songs. What Was I Made For and I'm Just Ken at the top. They're not going to get all 3 in at the Oscars, but here I think it could happen with the 6 nominees. And also, I don't think the Diane Warren song is as likely to get in here as at the Oscars. A World of Your Own from Wonka seems like a pretty good bet. Now that I actually know what the song is from The Color Purple, I'll go with Keep It Moving. An original song in a musical that's a potential Best Picture nominee. How can they resist that? And one that I don't think will probably happen at the Oscars, then usually not as swayed by the big name, but I'm going with the Olivia Rodrigo song, Can't Catch Me Now, from the Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It seems to be popping off at the moment. And I just want to say, I love that movie. It's in my top 10 of the year. I think it's great. And I'm just going to be sad at the end of the day when it gets 0 Oscar nominations, because I think it's a great blockbuster. Tangent over. Dance the Night rounding out the list. Peaches could happen. It's a fun one. The Globes might want to celebrate that, especially considering I think they're going to really go for the Mario movie. 80 for Brady, Gonna Be You, Diane Warren. More of an Oscar thing, but you never know. It's a more popular film than her songs are usually in, so could happen here. For the first time from The Little Mermaid, I've got in there. This Wish I've lost faith in because the film's not getting very good reviews. And then Road to Freedom for Rustin. I don't know. I don't think no one really cares about the film. Lastly, the dumb new category they've added, cinematic and box office achievement. I have no idea what the actual criteria for this is going to be. I know that the film has to have made at least 150 million and it has to have made at least 100 in the US, but beyond that, are they voting for quality? Are they voting purely for the most box office successful movies? I'm erring to think that they're going to be nominating quality films, popular films that are good, that might not get recognized in other categories. So Barbie and Oppenheimer, I think that's the battle that this category was fucking designed for. Spider-Man is 100% going to be there. Guardians will be there. Pretty confident Mario will be there. Pretty confident John Wick will be there. I think that's the more popular adult-oriented action movie of the year. And then my wild card is the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. Whether it screams out as a film they have to nominate, I don't know, but Taylor Swift is all the fucking rage right now. People are obsessed with her. The film's making bank. It's already one of the highest grossing domestic films of the year in its month-ish long release window. And then the 8th spot, I had The Little Mermaid here because that made way more money, but I'm erring on the side of quality. I'm going The Hunger Games. It's generating pretty good legs at the box office. It's already cleared that 100 million mark, so I'm going to hope that they pick a good movie. Elemental could get it, Little Mermaid could get it, Ninja Turtles could get it if they want to throw in another animated one. Fast X, purely because it's one of the top grossing films of the year, and then Dead Reckoning would be another John Wick-esque action movie for grown-ups thing. But awards bodies just always seem to be allergic to the Mission Impossible movies. This category means nothing, but that's my predictions. And those are my predictions for the Golden Globe nominations. Again, a lot of this is guesswork because there's so much different about the body. We don't know how they're going to go. And also, the Globes always bring surprises. I guarantee you there's going to be at least one actor that wasn't even on my list of like 10 that gets nominated somewhere. And I welcome that. I'm excited for surprises. I'll be filming a reaction video for these nominations, and I really hope we do get some surprises. But I also hope some of my like longer shot picks pay off, like a Zac Efron or a Sterling K. Brown. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insights with your own predictions, and not just like say, oh, take these are what you must predict, but more just like, yeah, this is where the race lies. These are a lot of the options. Go with your gut, because I think there's going to be a lot of variations in predictions here, and I don't think the obvious lineups are going to be what we end up with, because they never ever are. Happy awards season. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel for more Oscar related videos. They're going to be popping off, more and more coming. The Critics' Choice nominations are coming pretty soon too, not long after the Globes. Check out my podcast, The Film Draft. That's where a lot of my creative energy goes these days. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, many other places. That link will be in the description. It's a really fun competition show where we battle to see who can just pick the best lists of movies in a certain category. And lastly, I would say follow me on Instagram, Jacob Watches Films. I'm a lot more active there than I am on YouTube. I'm always posting reviews and stories of what I'm up to and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.